Honey, I'm home. Oh wait, I'm not married yet. I guess I'm in love with myself. Marriage must sure be hard, especially if you're a superhero couple who not only have to hide their identities, but also change their European accents. Am I right? But for all the feel-good comedy, we have some warmth through the love. What are you doing? Please. What's going on? Is this the Matrix? The Truman Show? This is like the Truman Matrix? Please tell me. I need to know the answers. Ignore it. Please. Please.
Well, that happened. Well, I just finished... okay. I just finished... I've just...
It's time for Team to fool us in this heart. No.
You go... Wanda, are you done? Wanda? Okay, good. I've just... Okay, very funny, Wanda. Is this meant to be a metaphor about how the finale left me in the dark? Except I can still see through this thing. I can still review, fine. Alright, I'll just do the review. As of recording, well, attempting to, I have finished watching WandaVision on Disney+. And I've got some good news and some bad news. The bad news is, the finale was kind of disappointing. Not that because it was particularly awful, but because it was so... mediocrity. So mediocrity. So mediocrity. Does that make sense? So mediocre. Despite what everything was building up to. The good news is, this show has an amazing build-up. How much amazing build-up? Well, let's dive in.
The animation's...
Stop it! I guess that works. WandaVision is a story set in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and is presumably the first entry in Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. As we all know, Endgame managed to end off the previous 3 phases in a great way, and one of my deepest fears going forward was how they were able to top Endgame. Endgame ended on such a brilliant high note that to add anything more just seemed ludicrous at this point. If you want more details on that, I've already made a video about my concerns of Marvel fatigue.
Television shows absolutely necessary to watch to the next big blockbuster movie. I think this is going to be a major slip-up.
But for at least 8 episodes straight, these expectations were subverted. Where I feared there was going to be some narrative with a typical villain showing up and the heroes gathering together to beat the bad guys. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but we've already been there and done that. Instead, they slow down. They have a nice change of pace. And they focus more on character and mystery. As the first episode immediately starts just to confuse and baffle the audience as Wanda and Vision are in some kind of old-fashioned sitcom. And already so many questions are springing to mind, like, why are Wanda and Vision in a sitcom? How is Vision alive? And why are there these ominous implications that everything's not quite what it seems? That's pretty much the setup. Wanda and Vision are in a sitcom. And the episodes tend to gradually change the time period of particular sitcoms. And there's these really ominous implications that everything's not what it seems. And you ask questions like, okay, is Wanda in control? Is she not in control? Is there someone spying on her? Is she trapped somewhere? And the show is really good at grabbing you into the mystery. It had so much great mystery that I actually compared this to Gravity Falls, with how it was able to grab you and give you just enough answers for you to go into the next episode, answer the questions, then give you more questions to ask, which are then answered in the next episode, which makes for some great viewership. I love how instead of giving you an exposition dump, they do the exact opposite with it being a mystery series. You're not watching this series going, okay, this is gonna happen, same old, same that, okay, let's go. No, it's literally a case of, what's going on? No, really, what's going on? No, what is happening? I could live with this. And especially the first several episodes, they're so weird. It's so funny, yet it's so ominously strange, and it really just grabs you in. And there's little details that make Marvel fans really start to put on their theorizing caps, as it were, from the strangely humorous yet still equally ominous commercials, all the way to nuanced references throughout. And Kevin Feige did an excellent job, as I learned from my American friends, of making this somewhat of an all-age show. Younger people can go into this seeing a cool Marvel show, and older people can watch this series being nostalgic about sitcoms that they grew up with. And the way they pay homage to these sitcoms, they nail it down to a T. The way the stills cinematography combined with the wide spaces occurs with the 50s sitcoms, or the way the tone, the different tones, whether it be more laid back or more optimistic throughout different time periods, even to the different introductions. 14. And I also love the character development. This show features a whole bunch of characters who didn't get nearly enough justified screen time to justify their characters in the movies, but here they get their chance to shine. And I'm not just talking about Wanda and Vision, but also... spoiler alert! If you haven't watched the show, go watch it now. Jimmy boy lad. We also get a case of assistants, assemble! Sidekicks from previous Marvel movies come back, and they get much more dignified character development, to the point where they've become beloved characters now. You got Jimmy Woo from the Ant-Man movies, you got Darcy from the Thor movies, who was described as the Jar Jar Binks of the Marvel Universe, yet in this mystery environment, her character really shines, and she's quite quirky. I still liked her before WandaVision. Plus, Darcy reminds me of my sister. Love you, Ely. And also joining the cast is a grown-up Monica Rambeau. Remember Captain Marvel's best friend's young daughter who was in Captain Marvel? Yeah, she grew up to be an agent of an organization called SWORD. SWORD. First Shield and now SWORD. What's next? Spear? Lance? Helmet? Armor? Horse? Knave? And all of them get wonderful character development, which, yeah, that finale. I need to talk about the finale. The finale wasn't awful, but it was fairly rushed compared to how much time the show took to develop the characters and to get people to figure out and solve the mystery. The finale didn't really bring much character closure. I mean, all the characters did appear, but the characters didn't really get as much time to shine as the show built them up to be. Specifically, Monica gets new superpowers through sheer willpower, where she's able to sense energies. But not only her new superpower, but she played a significant role in trying to help Wanda come to terms with her grief. Grief, that's another theme I'll get into in a moment. So it's such a shame to see such prominent characters like her and a few others only get one or two scenes to shine and not really play much of a significant role afterwards. If you're gonna build up characters to that capacity, then you need to give them a better payoff. Not to mention, the finale left me with a lot of questions, which some of my American friends were able to answer. And I do suppose some of it's left to interpretation, but there's a difference between leaving things up to audience interpretation and leaving them in the dark. I don't mind if stories like the video game Shadow of the Colossus or anime shows like Cowboy Bebop gives you just enough details to know what is happening and why. But WandaVision has specific, mildly convoluted details that could have been better explained for the layperson. And the finale did something that I was fearing that Phase 4 would kind of give into: sequel baiting. Now, of course, sequel baiting has been the main appeal of the previous phases. But I think because this finale was so mediocre, my fears for the rest of the MCU are beginning to pile up again as of recording on the 6th of March 2021.
Wanda's an evil witch now. Throw me a bone here, people.
Boner. Sorry. But in spite of that disappointing finale, what a build-up that was. And there was such a brutally honest depiction of grief in this show. For as Marvel fans know, Wanda has been through a lot. She's lost her family, part of her life. She's lost her brother, and recently she lost her own husband. And she even lost her own life afterwards. And then came back from the dead. And then lost her life again. Come to think of it, she lost her husband twice. First time she killed him, and then the other time Thanos brought him back to life and killed him. Psalm 14! What I really appreciate about this show is that Wanda and Vision's relationship didn't really get that much time to be developed. There could have been a few more scenes in Civil War, Infinity War, where they could have had some time to chat. But thankfully, this show does that relationship justice. I even dare say some scenes from this show should have been added into Civil War or Infinity War. Either way, if this show didn't achieve anything else, it has definitely achieved a stronger development of that love relationship between Wanda and Vision. Supporting. I enjoy all their conversations. They were both funny together. They would both get into arguments. They'd get into crazy shenanigans to fix. And as rushed as the finale was, seeing how their relationship concluded in the show, I'd say it was satisfying. Even if Wanda's become an evil witch now. Speaking of witches... Witchcraft. Yeah, note to the kids. Never delve in real witchcraft. It's evil. Spoiler alert, there is a villain. And you probably noticed in this review, I'm only giving semi-spoilers. In case you're curious enough to see the show, in case you've yet to see it. But this villain, I must admit, is so much fun. When this villain is revealed, you probably know who it is by now, but when they're revealed, they have a ridiculously catchy song. And they're really hamming up their performance. It's not too over the top, but it is hammy enough for you to think, okay, this person is very confident in their situation, and that needs to be fixed. So my overall verdict on WandaVision, it was very refreshing take on the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It gave a much needed character development for some characters who did not get such character development in previous installations of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And despite a faulty finale, the build-up of the mystery was amazing. The fuse for the fireworks was really anticipating, but the fireworks themselves were not quite as spectacular when they blew up.
And now for something completely different.
Something no. No, step back. Step back! No. No, please. No, please. No, please. No, please. Please. I'll do it. I beg you. Please. No, please. Please stop. If I were to say which episode was the best one, it would have to be episode 8. This is like a tale of two stands for WandaVision. It delves deep into the character of Wanda, and gives you all you need to know about the pain that she's gone through and the pain that she's still going through. Has she moved on from her pain entirely? Probably not. Will this show age well in the dawn of time? With passing time, rather? Only time will tell. I think I'll give WandaVision a 9 out of 12. There were some flaws throughout, but the build-up and character development was absolutely worth it, if you ask me. Now, if you're watching this review, you're probably not really satisfied with how in-depth I went into analyzing WandaVision. I can only apologize for my inconsistency, if you can even call it that. But what I can say is that me and my American friends have been talking about every single episode of WandaVision on a weekly basis on our podcast, Disney Plus Pals. If you're patient and willing enough, you can watch through our in-depth thoughts, theories, and analysis of every single weekly episode, and you can tell them your good buddy Calum sent you. For better or for worse. Good night, everybody.